Hi, I'm Emily. Welcome to this week's Mega Football TV.
Hello and welcome to week 3 of the Mega Football Pikum. We've got a jackpot of £1 million for anybody that gets every single prediction correct, and a guaranteed prize pool of £1,000 for those players who make the best predictions. Last week we had 38 players, so everybody got at least their money back. In fact, most people doubled it. So what are you waiting for? Go in and give it a go. And don't forget, if you are a new user, your first entry is free, so you've got nothing to lose. In Pikum, you get awarded points for the predictions you make. The closer the predictions, the more points you get. So even if you're not completely correct and you're just close, you're still in with a shout of winning that £1,000 prize pool. You can start filling out your predictions right now by clicking on the right of this video, but do carry on watching for my predictions and some stats that might help you with those trickier picks. Last week I mentioned Arsenal's amazing record of just one loss in their last 10 home games against Manchester United. But like most people, I still backed Alex Ferguson's men to win. In fact, there was only 5 of you that correctly predicted the Gunners to take those points. But typical Gunners style, they followed up a loss to Stoke with a win over the champions. So maybe you think there's a pattern emerging here. You might just fancy backing Villa to get something over the Gunners next week. Now, congratulations to Yummy Mummy Natalie for beating all the boys to the top and getting that first prize of £500. She managed to get 6,499 points. So well done, Natalie. Go on, the girls. Natalie picked a couple of peaches to secure her win. In fact, 11 correct predictions, our best so far. There was only 3 people that correctly predicted Manchester City would score first, and then Spurs would go on to beat them, including our winner. Also, a big well done to our other top players, especially Kemps, who in fact got 3rd position in our first week. He went one better this week and got 2nd, so well done to you. Kemps and last week's winner Nivedam will be neck and neck in the lead of our league table, which will be published on the site very soon. We'll be running a season-long league table for our regular pundits, including monthly private and public leagues, where Pikum will provide prizes, even for your private leagues between just you and your mates. So stay tuned for that one. Just a quick mention for Arsenal fans to Vanzi then, who rightly predicted that Arsenal would beat Manchester United and the correct score time of the 22nd minute. So for a while, just because his boys did one over Sir Alex Ferguson's men, he was dreaming of the title and that £1 million. The big game of the weekend is Arsenal v Aston Villa. There's no denying that Arsenal were fantastic against Manchester United last weekend. Even Gallas, who sometimes leads by looking the other way when his team most need him, was acting the world-class captain that Wenger thinks he is. But they have struggled against some of the teams that you would expect them to beat. In fact, they recorded losses against Fulham, Hull and Stoke, so Villa might just fancy their chances. But looking at Villa's abysmal record against Arsenal tells its own story. You have to go back 10 years for a Villa win, and in fact 15 years for a Villa win at Arsenal. So who will win this match, or will it in fact be a draw? Before Arsenal beat Manchester United last weekend, the world was questioning Arsene Wenger's management skills. That's a bit of a crazy thing for me, because look at the job he has done in the past, and once they had that win over Sir Alex Ferguson's men, he was back in that title race. I think Martin O'Neill will do a good job for Aston Villa this season. I'm pretty certain they'll qualify for the UEFA Cup. But I think 9 times out of 10 they will fall short when they come up against one of the big 4. So I'm predicting an Arsenal win. The next pick is how many shots will Arsenal have on target? Well, so far this season, Arsenal have an average of 6.6 shots on target. Only Chelsea can better that so far with 6.9. But that's a real mixed bag, which includes over 10 shots on target on 3 occasions, a 2 in 1 match and even a 1 against Fulham. I'm going to go for Arsenal to have 5 shots on target. The next pick is how many goals do you think there'll be in the Bolton v Liverpool game? You might want to know that Bolton have averaged less than 1 goal per game so far this season, and Liverpool just 1.3 per game away from Liverpool. But before you have this down as a low-scoring game, you might want to know that half of Liverpool's Premier League games so far this season have had 3 or more goals in them, so it could go either way. So how many goals do I think there'll be in this match? 2 weeks ago it might have been a little bit easier to predict, a very comfortable win for Liverpool. But since Gary Megson's men were booed off by their own fans against Everton, they've put together 2 wins against Stoke and Hull. In fact, you see Ascalani was fantastic against the Tigers. If he's flying around that goal like Superman like he did against them, Liverpool will find it hard to score. But Robbie Keane's opened his Premier League scoring account with 2 goals last weekend. Fernando Torres should be back in action. I do think Liverpool will get the goal, but just the 1 in total for this match. The next pick is Manchester United's possession in their game against Stoke. So far this season, usually they've had around about 55 to 60% possession. But when they're on song, they can get it up to around about 75%, which they managed in September against Bolton. Despite the fact that Edwin van der Sar might not get much sleep the night before because he might be worrying about Roy Delap's fantastic throw into the box, I think Manchester United will have a 59% possession. The next pick is what do you think the winning margin will be in the West Brom v Chelsea game? Well, Chelsea have got a pretty impressive record so far away this season. 6 wins out of 6. They've scored 16 goals, only conceding just the 1. So things are looking pretty grim for West Brom. Well, if you look at West Brom, they've conceded 14 goals in their last 5 games. Chelsea, as we said, are flying. Nicolas Anelka, you can't stop him scoring at the moment. I think Big Phil will be celebrating his birthday for another week. He was, of course, 60 when he celebrated his win last weekend and moved back to the top of the Premier League on goal difference. I think there's going to be 3 goals in this game, and they're all to Chelsea. As I mentioned, Anelka is on fine form at the moment. He followed up his hat-trick against Sunderland with a brace at Blackburn, but it has brought something strange to our attention about this enigmatic Frenchman. What exactly is that bird's wing celebration about? We just don't get it. So if you email your suggestions to affiliates@pikum.com, we'll give a free £10 credit and a few Pikum goodies to the funniest suggestions, and we'll read some of them out on next week's show. So the next pick we're asking is how many goals do you think will be scored in the last 5 minutes of the games on this Pikum? On this pick, time added on after the 90 minutes does count, so do take that into account when making your predictions, because in fact 1 out of 10 goals this season in the Premier League has come in time added on. Another 5 goals were scored in the last 5 minutes of matches last weekend, and the one before that it was 6, so the Premier League certainly is living up to its reputation of being a league with late goals. But remember, this does only include the 8 games on this Pikum, so don't take into account any of the other ones. So for me, I think there's going to be 5 late goals. This week, Ray Wilkins really threw the gauntlet down by calling Blackburn dirty. This was fiercely denied by Paul Ince, who really put Ray Wilkins in his place with his harsh and brutal put down. If you've got young children, you might just want to cover their eyes right now. Ooh. cutting, those words used by Paul Ince, but it really must have hurt what Ray Wilkins said. In fact, he's got his facts completely wrong. The shame on him. Well, maybe not. Let's just take a look at that fair play table. More yellow cards than anyone else in the league, in fact, and the second worst disciplinary record of the whole Premier League. Looks like Ray's got his facts pretty spot on to me. Sorry, Paul, but your boys really are dirty. In fact, kind of reminds me of a certain young gaffer in his playing days.